Am I the a-hole for not giving one of my son's toys to my nephew, causing him to have an hours-long tantrum? Am I the a-hole for refusing to make a $120 cut of steak well done? Am I the a-hole for turning my stepson's playroom into an office without my fiance's approval? Am I the a-hole for not giving one of my son's toys to my nephew, causing him to have an hours-long tantrum? We hosted Thanksgiving at my place. My brother, his wife, and their almost 4-year-old son were among the guests. As people were leaving, my brother asked if my nephew could take home one of my 2-year-old son's toy trucks. My nephew had been playing with it nonstop since they arrived and wanted to keep it. My brother said that he'd replace the toy if I told him where I got it. I told my brother that I'd be happy to give him a link to the store where I bought it, but I would not give him the toy then and there. I refused for 2 reasons. Firstly, my brother, sister-in-law have a terrible habit of giving my nephew everything he asks for. He is way too old for that. Secondly, I don't want to reinforce in my nephew that it's okay to just take things he wants. My brother said that my nephew would throw a tantrum if he didn't get the toy then and there, and that everything would be easier if I just let him take the toy and get sent a replacement in the mail. I told my brother that I would not be an enabler for my nephew's bad behavior, and that it's my brother, sister-in-law's problem if he throws a tantrum. Of course, the inevitable happened. My nephew started shrieking inconsolably at the top of his lungs, and my brother, sister-in-law, nephew had to leave. Later that evening, I got an angry text from my brother saying that my nephew screamed his head off for the entire 3-hour car ride home and only stopped screaming after he literally passed out from exhaustion. He said that the tantrum was my fault since it would have been completely avoided if I'd just given my nephew the toy, and accused me of backseat parenting, since in his words it's not my place to set an example for his son. My wife thinks we should have just handed the toy over to make things easier, especially since our son has a ton of toys and is not particularly attached to that specific truck, and would not have noticed it missing for just a couple days. I still maintain that it's well within my rights to set an example for my nephew even if it goes against my brother, sister-in-law's parenting style of coddling their son, and that the tantrum is 100% a result of their terrible parenting habits. Am I the a-hole for refusing to make a $120 cut of steak well done? So we did a bit of an extravagant Friendsgiving this year as I locked into a strip loin of A5 Wagyu for a price that was unorthodox levels of cheap. My friend works for a high-end meat distributor and received it as a gift. It was a tight-knit event with only 10 of us there, mostly couples including my friend who only started dating a girl within the last couple months. We had an array of dishes, but I was responsible for cooking the meat. Steak is about the closest thing I have to religion, and I take it very seriously. The average steak for me takes about 4 to 5 hours to prepare, cook from the sous vide to the cast iron to plate, though sometimes I take as much as 3 to 4 months butter aging or dry aging my meats to be certain that they are perfect. These were genuine A5, so I only sous vide them after cutting them into 2-inch steaks. There was pretty perfectly enough for one each, but I also made jerk chicken, mandarin duck breast, and a nice cut of cherry jalapeno salmon. I had quite the spread. I sous vide them to medium rare to be sure the fat was well rendered, but informed them that if absolutely necessary, I'd bring them up to medium on request. Well, here comes the new girl into the group. She sees the person cut into their steak and sees pink, and she is just mortified. Immediately, she asks him of eating raw meat and stresses that the steak should be brown all the way through or else you'll get sick. I informed her that this wasn't the case and that these steaks were actually cooked to the ideal temperature for the cut. She immediately demanded that I cook hers till it was brown, all the way through, and I firmly said not a chance. She proceeded to get angry and yell, and it was her steak and she should have it how she liked. I told her that there were plenty of other meats to choose from as well as a plethora of side dishes that she could have, but her steak was not being made well done in my house. She said, "Fucking a-hole." Then she got up and started to stick the steak in the microwave. I shot up and grabbed it out of her hand first, at which point half of the steak fell onto the ground. My dogs quickly got it, to which I said, well, at least it went to someone who wouldn't shit on a good steak. From there was definitely tension from that end of the table. They ate a little bit, then hurriedly left. Since then, my longtime friend and his new girlfriend have blocked me on social media and my phone number. They've even gone so far as to block the rest of the people at the table and cut off all ties. Yesterday, I received a PayPal invoice from my old friend for $25 that just said, pay for dry cleaning of her dress. I don't think anything actually spilled on her. I think it's just more drama, but as of now, I'm ignoring it and unfortunately probably washing my hands clean of an old friend. Am I the a-hole here? Am I the a-hole for turning my stepson's playroom into an office without my fiance's approval? Hello everyone. I, female 32, have been with my fiance Kevin, male 37, for 3 years. I'm 4 months pregnant and have a stepson, Teddy, and he's 9 years old, and we live at Kevin's house. I work and provide while Kevin's unemployed. I was recently given a different position at my company, so now I work from home. But the problem is that we have no office. Only 3 rooms, our bedroom plus Teddy's room plus Teddy's playroom. I need private space to work and I asked Kevin if I could use Teddy's playroom and he said no. I asked again and he said no means no even after I begged. Last week, I admittedly got fed up with the TV noises while working in the living room and decided I was going to move Teddy's toys to his bedroom and turn the playroom into an office. I organized everything while Kevin was out, and when he came home, he lost control of his nerves and had an argument with me about how I should have never done that. He told me I needed to understand that this is his house and every room in it belongs to him, and I should have never overstepped and taken Teddy's playroom and kicked him out like that. I agreed with few of his points. Yes, it's his house and his name's in the lease and no one can deny that. However, and to put it bluntly, I pay for everything around here. Water, electricity, other bills, and I handle renovations, and more so, I feel that room with toys Teddy can play with. I'm fine with that. He's my son that I didn't give birth to, and Kevin knows how much I adore Teddy and willing to sacrifice for him, but kept yelling at me that I overstepped and was only making Teddy hate me gradually, starting by taking his playroom, his favorite part of the house. I argued with him deeper about it and told him I did this not out of malice but to work so I can continue to provide for the family since he's unemployed. Don't know how he managed to call that obvious financial abuse and control and said that no decent future wife shows this amount of disrespect and inconsideration for her future husband's wishes and rules, and that hurt me because I've already tried to communicate my problems and he's just dismissing me completely. He demanded I put everything back, but I said sorry but no. He told me I have an attitude that doesn't look good for a stepmom, called me selfish, and told me to go explain to Teddy how I have no problem stealing his room and refusing to give it back, and to not be surprised if he begins resenting me even if he agrees to let me have it. I understand Kevin has always been protective of his son and puts him first, which not many dads do, and he even said he chose me to be his partner based on how close I am to his son, but this issue basically caused a rift between us.